This is the Edelrid MegaJul. It's an auto-locking belay device, new device for me, and today I'll be looking at some of the ways you might be able to use this for rope climbing and comparing it to the old familiar favourite, the Petzl GriGri 2. So first off, the Edelrid device is about half the price of the GriGri. As you can see, it has no moving parts and it's about a third of the weight, so potentially quite an interesting replacement. So there are essentially two things you can do with the MegaJul. One is you can use it as an auto-locking descender, or an assisted locking descender, I would say. And the other is as a device for lowering another climber. I'm really concentrating on the descender application here, as it's much more relevant to rope climbing. So in this use, the device loads onto your harness just like a normal tubular descender. You pull the rope through it, flows through very smoothly, pulling on the tail. But as you can see, when you load the device, it tilts back and locks. So that's holding my whole weight now. Now, as you can see, the rope does still slide through slowly, so you definitely need to control the tail of the rope all the time. But then when you're ready to come down, you just pull the device back a little bit, you tilt it back, and controlling the slack with your hand, you can just lower quite nicely. Okay, so how does the MegaJul compare to our old friend the GriGri 2? Okay, I've got the GriGri configured in the same way as a descender. So again, advancing slack through the device when you're going up, very easy. One thing that you do notice switching from the MegaJul is that as you load the rope, it doesn't immediately grip unless there's a bit of force on it, and then it grips. And that can mean that you can actually slip back down the rope a bit. However, I have to say that when the GriGri is locked, you get no slippage of the rope through, so that's better. For descending, I'd say that very similar. When you put the rope, when you open the GriGri device, you really still need to control the tail of the rope, otherwise you get a very jerky descent. But all in all, very similar experience. Okay, so how about climbing with the MegaJul? So here I've got a very minimal setup with a friction lock VT here with a foot loop on it, and I've got the MegaJul configured here. So as I step up on the foot loop, you can quite easily advance the slack through the MegaJul with the other hand, and it makes for quite a good ascent system. And when you want to come down, then you can just tilt the device back, controlling the slack with the other hand, and down you come. So one way in which the MegaJul is different to the GriGri is that for it to lock effectively, the slack has to come downwards out of the device. If you have the slack coming up like that, it won't lock properly. So what this means is that you can't really use this with a top pulley on your upper ascender, pull down on the tail of the rope. You can't really use it like that. However, I don't find that too much of a problem, and certainly I'd say that it's a good little device. The thing you just have to be careful with is that run back of rope through it, and don't believe that it'll lock up quite as solid as a GriGri. But certainly in normal climbing I don't think that's a problem. Edelrid do say that the thicker the rope, the more you do get a bit of a slip back, and this is actually a 10.7mm rope, and the device is rated up to 10.5, so that may well be why I'm getting a bit of a slip back through. The other thing that Edelrid said is that the rounder the profile of this carabiner here, the less friction there is on the rope. So that may be another reason why this is slipping through. But all in all, good little device. Definitely for half the price of the GriGri, something I think it's well worth considering.